It's you.
And welcome back, welcome back. We have in the studio once again this week. We had him last week, and all that video was not even here. And we're going to talk again with Dr. James Bryant. How you doing, sir?
Hello.
I'm doing good. Are you ready to do this again?
I've been through the rehearsal, so I guess we can do it for real.
Well, if you remember exactly what you said before, take it away.
Well,
we didn't script that.
You liked a little help, I'm sure, right?
Well, of course, you mentioned my name, James Bryant. I'm pastor of Gaither Baptist Church out south of town, and I'm also a team leader for what is called the North Arkansas Baptist Association of churches in 4 counties. We have 57 churches, and I'm the mission team leader. So we develop mission programs for the cooperative work of our churches together. And of course they support that through their regular budget gifts. And
when you say missions, is that out of the area, or is it
it goes from local to state to national to international.
Okay.
So we support on all 4 levels. And we coordinate as a team. We coordinate the kind of work that we feel like the churches need to be involved in. They do their own mission work, but they cooperate together to do a larger scale.
Right.
Things they can't do alone. So we partner together to do what they can't do alone.
Well, Baptists are well known for doing missionary work. I mean, that's a lot of their focus. Has it changed over the years?
It has, of course. A lot of it is determined by how tight the country may be. I remember I was a foreign missionary for 10 years in Asia, and at the time I went over, it was all right to mention my name and where I was. But after that, it transitioned because there was so much of a threat at times against missionaries that a lot of times they would exclude their names, just their initials, and the country where they were, so that they would protect those missionaries' identity.
Wow.
And so it's become different.
Yeah.
But we have something in the neighborhood, just our denomination has probably 5,000 plus missionaries around the world supported through cooperative funds.
And that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
I got
Right. That's what we're doing as well.
Yeah.
Now, our churches, of course, we have 57 locally. One of the things that we've been doing for the last 3 years has been what is called our unity prayer meetings. Unity prayer meetings basically incorporate not just our Baptist folks, but all of the other churches in the area that want to participate with us. We have a unity prayer meeting up until the pandemic started. We had it every month at a different location. And we've been in some 32 churches, assembly churches, Nazarene, Baptist, Methodist, the whole gamut. And we would have anywhere from 100 to 150 people coming just for a prayer meeting. And we would gather to pray for and surround that ministry there,
I got you.
the pastor and his team, and surround them with prayer and uplift them. And it has been one of those things that has worked tremendously during these 3 years.
How has this pandemic affected? We talked about it last week, and I kind of want to touch on that a little bit.
Well, a lot of the smaller churches, of course, it really pulled back on them. But I would have to say this, mine is a small congregation, but we have learned during this pandemic that there are media opportunities that we've never explored before. And I would say you will find in just about every church some kind of media development, either on Facebook or YouTube, where they are actually live streaming their services. Now, I know for a fact that the response to me and my church on Facebook, we've got more people literally under that gospel presentation and that worship experience than we had when we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, yet you're reaching out. I mean, you have the ability
You're
to be able to
literally
reach
reaching
out.
out.
Yeah.
In fact, I have people that respond from Thailand saying they saw me on
Good.
on Facebook.
Okay.
And in a different way to look at that too, for me, is that we've utilized people's talents within our own church community that
Right.
who knew they might not have been able to give that way.
That's right. So it's it has challenged us, and I told my congregation this, I said, it's been a wake-up call.
Certainly.
I know God's in control, and that's what I proclaim. He hasn't stepped out of his sovereignty over this world. He has a causative will, directive that he will initiate, but he has a permissive will. And that permissive will allows man's free will to do what he will.
Right.
I mean, that's since Adam and Eve.
Right.
But he's still in control. And the Bible tells me that it is something that he is in control, even though he may allow something to happen that is not his will. He still is over everything.
He sees the big picture that we can't
He does.
see. So.
And literally, as his people, we can depend upon him. Well, Paul says it in Romans 8. He said, all things work together for good to those that love God, who are called according to his purpose. All things work together for good. It doesn't say just the good stuff according to our thinking,
Yeah.
but everything.
Right.
And we know that through history, this pandemic is not new. It's been going on since the beginning of time.
We're just having to deal with it right now.
That's right. This is the first time that we've had anything serious this generation. But it doesn't mean that it's never been experienced before.
Yeah.
He's still in control. He's moving forward. And it's our responsibility to move in accordance with his will. I mentioned...
I think he's probably looking at our response. What are you doing? You know, I mean, I think he's watching. Well, I know he is, but I mean...
He's probably doing a lot of head shaking too, don't you think?
Do these people like start fighting each other, or do they band together? You know, that kind of thing. Just to see what... I don't know. I just think we're all supposed to live our life as best we can, as he would.
Yeah, in accordance with him. Sometimes we do a lot of telling God what he ought to do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's sovereign. He is all-knowing in every way. And we, in our little limited pea brain, sometimes are trying to tell him how to act.
This is what I want, and you better listen to me.
Exactly. And what we ought to be doing is asking.
Right.
Or just
What
getting out of the
can I
way.
do?
Right.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
getting out of the way and letting him
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But being used by him is so very important. And
You have an outreach and billboards, and I wanted to talk about that before we run out of time.
Okay. This Unity meeting that I have mentioned, they have been supporting for about 3 years what is called our billboards. Now this particular billboard is at the four points of the
When people come into Harrison, they'll see it on one of the major
north
highways.
south 7, north south 65, and it says the churches of Harrison welcome you. So it's not denominational.
Okay.
And our church happens to be the one that holds the account. We receive the funds and pay the monthly bill for these 4 billboards. But it's been going on for 4 years, and we've never missed a payment.
Okay.
Because people are supporting it. and from the different churches.
Yeah.
And they can actually send it to Gaither Baptist Church, P.O. Box 275, Harrison, Arkansas 72602, because it's a P.O. box. And those funds will go directly into that fund, and then they're allocated as each month.
So they could send a small amount, or they can send the whole $400 a month, right?
There are churches that say, hey, I want to do a month.
Okay.
So they'll send
nice.
$400 in.
Okay.
Right now, we're sitting at, we have August paid for. I paid for August this morning. And we have, so August is paid for. We have $130 towards September.
Nice.
So we're moving. Now, there are times that we have to change the boards out because the sun fades them.
They fade them out, yeah.
So
the
we
one
got
on
one that I mentioned to them this morning that was going to need to be changed
yeah, the one on
out.
7 South is fading a little bit.
Right, it is. And so that'll probably run us in the neighborhood of $300 to change it out. And it'll be good for another year. But anyway, that's what we're doing together as a city. And let me tell you, this unity has been fantastic because, you know, when you're walking into Walmart and people recognize you, that you don't see that regularly. And it's because they've been to that meeting.
Oh, that's good.
And so there is a camaraderie. It's not like, oh, you go over to that church. It's, oh, you come to the meetings and you're pastor of, you know.
Right.
And it's, so there's a good feeling of rapport.
Yeah.
And that seriously needs to be developed.
Yeah. It's better than a lot of the division that we're all feeling these days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think one of the, go ahead.
I was just going to say, anything else you want to add?
Just as a challenge to people, I think one of the things that I ran across in my study of Ephesians that I'm doing with my congregation, I discovered that we literally have been given the last will and testament, okay, the written will and testament, which means that we have become the executors of God's will. And what do we have the executive power over? The whole world and everyone in it.
But you got to take direction.
Take the direction from His will. It's not what I think I ought to do.
Right.
It's asking Him what He wants done and how I fit into that, how I make a difference for His will. And that's what an executor does.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. One of the things that people have said to me, they said, oh, I hope things get back to normal. And my response has been, I hope they get back to better than normal.
Yeah.
Because we've been failing, or we wouldn't be where we are.
Right.
So getting back to better than normal is really the push that needs to be there.
We appreciate you coming back again and filling us in on some of the things the Baptist organization is doing and what you guys are doing over at Gaither Baptist Church, and how everyone can support all the churches here in town. There's other billboards in town that aren't so friendly.
Yes.
So this is a good invitation for people to think positively and move in other directions.
Spread that word to the community.
Yeah. Thanks, James. Appreciate it very much.
God bless you all. Thank you for having me.
Up next we have
Casey.
Yeah.
And did I say your name right? Is there an L in the end of it? Brandstetter. All right. Buffalo National River Interpreter. Stay with us.